My student experience at ESU was actually, it was a life-changing experience for me. I'm not sure I really ever wanted to go to college. I mean, while everybody else was like writing their essays to get into schools and applying to all the schools, I wasn't. It was January of my senior year and I still hadn't applied to one school because I thought maybe I would go out there and start working and get that job that was going to pay me $1 million right away at the age of 17. And the more I peeled some layers back and the more I realized that I really needed to have that education to go for, because I had soft skills that I acquired up until 17, but I really didn't have those life soft skills. My freshman year was very overwhelming and it was a lot to just sort of grasp and comprehend everything and get used to, having autonomy to yourself. But when we got here, I mean, just walking, I was a 17-year-old coming onto a college campus. It was cool just knowing that, like, this is where you're going to spend, the most important years of your life before you embark on, like, becoming an adult. What I did was I just sort of surrounded myself with some people who knew what was going on, people who also were in that same boat and, like minds, and people who supported me and found my way pretty quickly then. And so I grew into it because I became very active right away with on-campus activities such as Residence Hall Association, really going to, mixers that would like help you to meet other people. That really helped me integrate myself because that's what I was looking for. My favorite classes were my sports electives. They were bowling 1 and bowling 2 and badminton. Honestly, bowling I loved. I was a bowling geek. We went out to the lanes, Stroud lanes out there on 611. We watched these old projector movies before class started. He had a projector, he would show it, and then we'd just bowl. And it was really good for me because it was very social as well. You had more time to be social, and that, like I said, I was a social being. Those classes were great. I mean, all my English classes were great. I really enjoyed that. I'm a weirdo when it comes to English. There wasn't one professor that stood out, but there was one, staff member. But Dean Robert Moses, he was very integral to my career success at East Stroudsburg and to my graduating. And if it weren't for him, honestly, and I attribute him to this, that I probably would never graduated because I had some rough times. He was very consistent with how he treated students. He was very fair. He told you when you were right and when you weren't, and he had no problem with that, and I really respected that. I didn't start out as a secondary education English major. I started out as a major in, basically it was sociology. And I was really interested in most of my classes that dealt with like human nature and like human development and dealing with other people. So the psychology aspect to that and those classes. But being an English geek, self-professed English geek, all my English classes were amazing. I got a lot out of, the professors were all very knowledgeable and very willing to help, even the ones that you always had the ones that weren't that close to you. But I've always tried to find a silver lining in all of it, whether it was a class of Age of Pope and Johnson or Sound, Waves, and Light. I tried to figure out what I was gonna like best about that. To come back to this and to see everything, even like the Commons, because that was the meeting place. I got out of school and it was very difficult for me when I got out of school to find a job at first. And I was really, disenchanted. We were just working minimum wage jobs. I was substitute teaching. I was sort of coming into my own. And one morning I was actually getting to the point where I was like, I'm never gonna teach. One morning I woke up and it was basically somebody I knew that ran a business college and they needed instructors there. And we need instructors everything except for English though, but do you think you could handle doing economics? And I was like, well, sure, these are things that I could. So the English part of it I never really was able to carry over into a professional career, but that secondary education part and the learning the principles of education, the principles of dealing with people, the principles of just basically getting out there and being the best you could be in the career you're doing really helped me when I went to this job, because I was very young getting into this position, and I really look at my college time as like, molding me for that. Had I not had that educational part of the background and just English, I probably would never be able to be into that. So being able to have that dual aspect to it really helped a lot, and it prepared me. I will tell you, it prepared me for rejection. Because in college, I feel like, in high school, they might have coddled you a little bit more. So I really feel that, when people say to me, how are you with rejection? I'm like, I went to college, and it's not a negative thing. You know, because you find out that you aren't that big fish in a little pond, that all of a sudden now you are that little fish, and it prepares you for all of that. It prepares you for that journey into adulthood. And the experience, as much as I fought going to college, the experience really made me who I am today.